From now on, I'll just have it pinned in the comment sections. So when people join in late, they'll just see, so I don't have to stop whatever we're talking about and then just say like, hi, this is what we're reading, and whatever. Okay, guys, so we are going to be reading Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1 and 6. So verse 1 says, faith is the confidence that what we hope for will actually happen. It gives us assurance about the things we cannot see. And then 6 says, and it is impossible to please God without faith. Anyone who wants to come to him must believe that God exists and that he rewards those who sincerely seek him. Okay, so good morning. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Is it Ignance? Good morning. I hope you read those tips that I sent you, though. Okay, so chapter 11, verse 1. Faith is the confidence in what we hope for. So faith basically is, we all know what hope means. We like, oh, I hope I get this. It's like a feeling inside of us. And that's kind of sort of how faith is. Faith isn't, I feel like people think that faith is like a noun. It's like a person, place, or a thing. But faith is a verb, and more importantly, it's like an action verb, because faith is something that you have to do. It's not something that just happens once and then you have it and it goes away, or whatever the case may be. Good morning, Ava. So faith is something that you have to continue to do. So let me read that one more time. Faith is the confidence that what we hope for will actually happen. It gives us assurance about things we cannot see. So we've all seen that. I don't know if it's a meme or I guess it's not a meme, but it's like a little picture that floats around. And it says like faith is like taking the first step. And when you can't see it kind of thing. Okay, Fred. Good morning, Fred. Okay, so faith is basically like you being blindfolded and someone telling you there's a staircase. You don't know that the staircase is there, but you take the step anyway. That's what faith is. And I wanted to combine verses 1 and 6 because, I'll just read it. And it is impossible to please God without faith. Anyone who wants to come to him must believe that God exists and that he rewards those who sincerely seek him. So the thing is, this whole Christianity, this whole believing in God, all of this 100% is faith. Like when we think about it, we believe in something that literally none of us have seen. I haven't seen Jesus. I'm sure you haven't either. I haven't seen God. I'm sure you haven't either. Hi, Ivan. So, faith is basically the whole, like God's whole existence is basically us believing that faith is real, us believing that God is real. And like this whole book, everything inside of this book is based on us just having to believe. It's based on us understanding that what God says happened and us believing that it happened. And I always like to say, it's crazy that we believe that Jesus died on the cross, existed, first off. We believe he existed. He died on the cross, but then we also believe that he rose again. But then when it comes down to like our personal life, when something's happening, like let's just use this COVID-19, when something's happening, we don't believe. We're like, oh, I don't know, this is scary, this is crazy, God's not going to get me out. And it's like, why do we believe that God delivered Jesus? Jesus healed like a lame man. Jesus healed the sick. Jesus stopped the woman who had the issue with the blood. We believe all of those things. We have faith because if we didn't believe any of this stuff, we'd be crazy to just sit and read that. Like you have to believe to be a Christian, right? So it's crazy that we believe all of these things, all of these miracles happen, but we won't believe when God says he will never leave us and never forsake us. We don't believe that. We still panic. We still ask, or we still question, or we still wonder why. And so my question basically is like, where is your faith and how is your faith right now? Because if we believed in all of these things, we wouldn't doubt God, basically. So I'm going to read this one more time. Faith is the confidence that what we hope for will actually happen. It gives us assurance about things we cannot see. And then fast forward to 6, it says, and it is impossible to please God without faith. Anyone who wants to come must believe that God exists and that he rewards those who sincerely seek him. So it's impossible to please God without faith, just because the whole foundation of Jesus is basically faith. We have to believe that this man walked the earth thousands of years ago. We have to believe that he died and rose again. Like, everything we do is faith, and that's how we have to live our lives. Paul says we are foreigners, we're peculiar people, we're not of this world, so we can't live by the world. So like Romans 12:2, we have to be transformed, not conformed to the world. So we have to live set apart from the world. We aren't supposed to live like everyone else lives here. We're supposed to think, we're supposed to believe what the Bible says and live differently and not live the same as everyone else. So yes, there's a fact that what's going on in the world is absolutely insane. It's absolutely crazy, but we believe in a God that's bigger than facts. We believe in a God that defies facts. So fact is, Jesus died and he was supposed to stay there because that's what people do when they die, but he rose 3 days later. So fact is that he died, but God came in and took over. So we have to have that same faith that we believe in that story. We have to believe that in our everyday lives. Like for women, God says, or someone says you can't conceive. We have to believe that God said otherwise. No, you're going to have those kids. Or we have to believe, says, is faith more important than salvation for a Christian? I wouldn't necessarily say it's more important. You need the two together, because salvation is you coming to Christ. So that's your first thing. You have to have salvation. But faith is 100% the most important thing, yes, because you can't believe God. It says it right here. It's impossible to please God without faith. So if you don't have faith, you, like, the whole understanding of God doesn't even exist, because if you don't have faith, how do you believe in God anyway? We've never seen God. I've never seen him. You've never seen him. You know what I mean? I hope that answers your question, Fred. Any more questions? All I'm saying is we just have to bring God into our world. So I always use, because I love the water, I always use references of the water. So we are in the sea right now and the waves are going crazy. We have to make sure we are constantly calling Jesus into the boat with us, because he will calm the sea. The waves bow down to him, right? The rocks cry out, the rocks obey, so everything else will obey God. So we have to constantly call him into our boat when we're in the middle of nowhere and uncertainty like we are right now. This is great, sis. Thanks, sissy. It says, okay, thank you. You're welcome. Any more questions, guys, before I head out? Excuse me. Any more questions, comments, concerns? Okay, great. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow with another verse. If you guys want me to talk about a specific verse, just DM me or write it right now in the comment section. Or like I said, DM me. If you want to talk about a specific verse, we can definitely do that. Also, next week, I'm going to start going on the phone with people. So I'm going to have someone join me next week. I don't know who, but I'm going to call in someone. What we got to do to please him every single day. We have to believe God every single day to please him. So we have to believe him. We have to obey his commands. So when God tells us to do something, we have to do it. And the most important thing is love. We have to love. We only have 2 commandments. God says, or Jesus said, love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. So in order to love your neighbor as yourself, you have to love yourself first. So make sure you're okay and you love yourself. You're not beating yourself up. You're not talking down to yourself. So once you have love in your heart, you can produce love to someone else, because you can't give something that you don't carry. So like if you had a basket of fruit, you can't give me an apple if you don't even have apples, right? You have to have the apples first. So I can't get an apple from you until you have it. So just like love, you have to have love in yourself before you can give love out. In order to get that love, you have to understand your relationship with Christ. So, knowing your relationship with Christ is you basically going after God. Remember, it's a relationship. So with you going after God, that's you picture any relationship, whether you're dating or you have a friend, you want to date that person. So you want to communicate with that person. So you should be praying to God. You should be reading the Bible. You should be listening to worship. So anything you have to do to move toward that relationship with God. So then that's how you're receiving his love. And then you love your neighbor. So when you love your neighbor, basically, we have to love everyone, not just our Christian friends, because it's easy to love someone who's like us, not just our black friends, because it's easy to love just us, but we have to love everyone. So when someone's treating you wrong, yeah, it's easy to pop off and be like, first of all, and like get, but we can't do that because we are the face of Jesus and we have to be like Christ. So we have to turn the other cheek. Now, I'm not saying like sit there and get beat up by someone, but I'm saying we have to understand, we have to be what God called us to be. We are lights. I always say like we are a lantern because we're carrying God's light, right? So basically we have to show love. So if someone doesn't know Jesus, you don't have to go out preaching to them, but show love by just like saying hi to someone. Show love by holding the door for someone. Show love by, oh, you know what? I'm going to buy your Starbucks. I'm sorry. I'll do that. Just show almost like random acts of kindness. That's how you basically show love to others. And that's you basically obeying. So when someone's doing wrong, you don't clap back and do wrong because God says vengeance is mine. You just show love, basically. And that's basically it. Those are the two commands that God gives us. And we as humans, I feel like we make it so much harder. We always are like, oh, I should do this, or do I have to do this? Do I have to do that? And it's like, you don't have to do none of that. Honestly, God says two things. Love him, love yourself, and your neighbor. Like, love yourself as your neighbor. So once we do those, we're good to go. Did that answer your question, Fred? Speak it. Amen. Thanks, Ivan. Tell it. Thanks, sissy. Okay, I am going to get off now. If there's nothing else, let me know before I get off. Okay, good. I'm glad it helped you. Okay, guys, I'm logging off. I'll be back tomorrow with a verse. I don't know what it is, but like I said, if you guys have a specific verse, DM me and we can go over it. Bye-bye.